I understand that you are an incredibly busy human being, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to come on our show. How are you? Where are you? What's going on?
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be here and to meet you also. I'm in St. Louis. I'm working on a film, playing a chef, which is why I have this haircut.
You're
and
looking high and tight.
It's very fashionable. And
Yeah.
then when this mustache gets dressed up,
Yeah.
it's like a weird little 40s, like Douglas Fairbanks.
Is that hard for you? Because you typically you have quite the blowfish atop your upper lip.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. If you can do it with a mustache, I think I've done it.
Yeah. Well, in St. Louis, is it hard for you to be that close to the Cardinals? Because you grew up in Illinois. My assumption is you hate the Cardinals.
Well, they are a rival to my beloved Chicago Cubs. I went to the game a couple nights ago. The bratwurst at Busch Stadium is one of the best things I've ever had at a baseball game. And so while I will root against their team, I no longer feel like a violent enmity towards my rivals.
Because it's more of like, you know what? You guys are serving up some good brats. I mean, are you saying that are the Busch Stadium brats better than Sheboygan brats?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but
You don't want to get sacrilegious here.
But for Missouri,
Yeah.
It was a nice surprise.
This is the Outside Podcast with PaddyO. When I ski bummed in my 20s, my favorite gigs, unsurprisingly, were the ones that had me on mountain from clock in to clock out, no matter the weather. Things like snowmaking, ski patrol, and trail crew. These jobs required me to carry a full day of food and water on my back and whatever additional gear the day called for, along with the obvious stuff like skis or waterproof layers. We used Pulaskis, rock pry bars, chainsaws, explosives, and axes. I started to wear a multi-tool on my belt. My dickies were stained with grease and paint and dirt. I had a knife in my pocket at all times. These jobs required a ruggedness and dependability that I had aspired to since I was a kid. The folks who worked those jobs were tough and self-sufficient and good to have around when the hit the fan. These people were handy. Now, I loved these jobs, but the truth is that I'm not really all that handy. If you can't fix it with baling wire, duct tape, and a handful of drill bits, I'm probably not your guy. I'm a total liability around a skill saw, and a speed square is actually a triangle? Huh? If you're looking for an outdoors person who is actually handy, I'll refer you to the lifers in My Favorite Mountain Gig, or to the actor Nick Offerman. I'm certain you know Nick from one of his many memorable roles, like Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation and General Sidney in the latest Mission Impossible. Quietly confident characters who are flannel-coated, steady, and adept. And when he's not acting or performing on comedy tours, Nick gets into some legitimately outdoorsy exploits, like building his own canoe and paddling it down the Los Angeles River, or hauling weight-inappropriate but delicious snacks up peaks in the nearest national park. Nick grew up in a small Illinois town where he learned to swing a hammer, care for livestock, and generally rely on himself in a pinch. These qualities inform everything he does, from playing a character on TV to building character on an adventure in the woods. And they also fuel his lifelong obsession with woodworking. Nick's new book is called Little Woodchucks, Offerman Woodshop's Guide to Tools and Tomfoolery. On its face, the book is a narrative introduction to his favorite hobby for kids large and small, but it's really Nick's gospel of know-how and do-it-yourselfedness. It's a starting point to building a tough and resourceful identity, because eventually we're all going to have to fix that flat tire out there or build a little shelter in the woods. Hell, if he'd written the book a few years earlier, maybe I'd still be a perma-goggle-tan ski patroller instead of sitting here yapping to you all. First things first, burnt toast. What's your last humbling and or hilarious moment outside?
Oh gosh, I spent 5 months in Budapest last year. Now, many people don't know that it's actually two cities, Buda and Pest. And in Hungary, they pronounce their S's with a sh, so it's actually Budapest.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful city to visit since they kicked the communists out in the early 90s. It's bisected by the Danube River, so there are a lot of historical, beautiful bridges, and it's very hilly on the Pest side, and that's where I lived while I was shooting this Netflix show.
Okay.
One thing that was gorgeous about the neighborhood is it's festooned with all of these staircases. So the streets are terraced up these hills, and to walk around, it's incredibly good exercise, but also really fun because you're walking on these stone staircases that are centuries old.
Cool.
And I got lost with great regularity. And I kind of pride myself on being a map guy, you know, having a sense of direction.
Sure.
And I don't know what it was, but I was kind of daydreaming too much was the problem. And I kept getting lost. And it would get even a little scary sometimes, but fortunately, I know how to look crazy when I get in that situation.
So what, you just wild up your hair and looked a little like wonky-eyed and started drooling a bit so nobody would mess with you?
The trick is I pretend that I'm seeing wee folk flying around. That's my foundation.
Okay.
And I'll have a little bit of a smile.
Yeah.
And I never make eye contact with the scary people. And so I sort of lilt along, and depending on the tone or how well lit I am, I'll get in a disagreement with the fairies that I'm speaking to, or just like, look at him go. Yeah, there she goes.
So your last humbling experience is you in a foreign country making people believe that you're a couple sandwiches short of a picnic?
That's right.
Yeah, nice. I like it. All right, let's get into it. I am incredibly excited about chatting with you because although my handiness stops at the end of a roll of duct tape, I think that you and I actually have a lot in common. We both grew up in Illinois. Midwesternness and Midwest sensibility, work ethic seems to inform our daily lives, though we haven't lived in the Midwest for quite some time. We both are creative people. We both deeply, deeply love meat, especially sausage, as we've already established. We both seem to fit the bill as Outside Magazine's fun uncle. You know, the whoop, I got your nose kind of whoopee cushion humor. I think we both enjoy very much. And this is the main thing. I, like you, fully recognize that I have married up, that my wife is completely out of my league, and on a daily basis, I am astounded that I somehow tricked her into marrying me. And so I feel like we're going to be fast friends. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
I mean, we've been together 25 years. And the thing is, my wife is so discerning. She's so persnickety. She curates our lives. She's never come downstairs in the morning without putting on an outfit that could be entered into an art museum. Every day. Like it's not like on Sundays, it's every day.
Yeah.
And I say, God, you're incredible. So
it's great. Hey, high five, man. Great job.
Up top.
Yeah.
Let's keep doing the dishes.
Yeah, no doubt. How much of the Midwest is still in you? Like, what Midwestern characteristics make you a better actor, a better woodworker, outdoors person, writer, musician, humorist, all of the things that you are?
I mean, I have this big family in Minooka, Illinois. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, I have a really excellent mom and dad, and they're still with us. My dad is now the mayor of our town, hilariously.
Seriously?
Which of course means that it's the kind of thing that, like, when I say that, I'm like, that means my mom is incredible. You know, if a guy makes it to mayor, it means that the missus is actually the one who should have the building named after her.
Correct.
And my mom is that way. So they brought me up with frugality and decency and a work ethic that, of course, I bristled against, you know, as a oh, God, you people are so square.
Yeah.
You know, why don't we go to the city and get cigarettes? And have you even heard Abbey Road, you idiots? And then there was a time I got to college down in Champaign-Urbana. I went to theater school, and it hit me. I was like 19, and I had to start balancing my checkbook for the first time and live out on my own. Mm-hmm. And it just hit me, and I called my dad and said, hey, and I was kind of teary, and I would have had to use a payphone, and I said, I just wanted to say, like, thank you for all the stuff that I hated you saying to me the last 19 years, and like I bristled against and butted heads with you. I get it so hard, and immediately, and like you and Mom have made me so ready to be a decent citizen, and so whatever proclivities I exhibit for the rest of my life, I have that foundation. And so I've always had that work ethic. And my mom and dad said, we think you're crazy for going to theater school. We've never heard of such a thing. No one in my town had ever heard of anyone going into the arts.
Right.
So it was like I said I was going to, become an astronaut or something. But they said, just have something to fall back on, like have a way to support yourself while you're chasing this dream. Mm-hmm. And so the tool skills they had instilled in me became that. I had already worked framing houses as a teenager, and so that became part of my life. It became how I paid my bills in my 20s, and then inexplicably it actually became part of my brand because my big break as Ron Swanson on Parks and Recreation involved me being a woodworker and an outdoorsman. And so of the many lottery tickets that I have won in my adulthood, one of them is that nature said, we're going to like make these wholesome parts of your life part of your brand, so that I'm not known, I'm not like Tommy Lee or David Lee Roth or something, where I'm known for like making love to porn stars.
That's a weird thing to bring up at the Thanksgiving table with the family.
Yeah, so how's your year been going, son?
How's work going?
My family goes fishing every year in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We started doing it when I was 5 years old, and it's the 1 week of the year that, like, the job in Budapest, I was like, all right, but you got to get me to Minnesota third week in July.
Really? And you worked it into the schedule? That's awesome.
Every year, yeah.
Where in Minnesota?
It's 90 miles straight east from Fargo, so it's in the northwest corner of Minnesota.
Yeah. My wife's family, they've had a cabin there for like 120 years. We go every summer.
It's the greatest.
Same, man. Yeah. If you can deal with the like emotional change that you have to handle because of the humidity and the mosquitoes, it's great.
I mean, there's something to the hardship of it. Traditionally, there's no TV. We sort of shut the channels off, and what I'm driving toward is embellishing the answer to your last question, which is like what is still Midwestern in me.
Yeah.
And part of it is being in a family that sits down to dinner together or that vacations together and says, let's play cards, let's sing songs, let's cook food together, and just enjoy each other rather than retreat to our isolated rooms and like put on headphones and play our own separate video games or whatever. Yeah. One of the things we do every Monday and Thursday night on the fishing trip is we have a big fish fry. And me and my brother and my dad are in charge of the 20 of us. We run the deep fryer. You check it out from the lodge.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a rolling cart with a propane tank and a big burner and a thing. And a couple years ago, the basket that goes into the cast iron bucket of oil disappeared, and it was time for the fish fry. And my brother and I went into the garage of the cabin resort and found some there's a small like 1/4-inch square version of chicken wire that I think is just called like hardware cloth or something, and it's bigger than a screen, but it's like a window screen, and it's made of metal. Okay. We took some of that and some galvanized wire and an old piece of window hardware and basically made a basket in which to fry the fish.
This is so Midwest. I love it so hard.
And he had a piece of walnut in his truck, so we shaved that down into the handle. And to me, that may be the greatest thing I've ever made in my life. Like we took our ingenuity, like big weird woodchucks, and we're like, we have fire, we have oil, we have fish, we have cornmeal. And we
need a
made
basket.
a way to combine that all into delicious deep fried fish.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, because I get asked that a lot, I get asked about the Midwest or Midwest values. And it's kind of like when people also often ask me about being manly or being macho. I say, I don't think I'm particularly manly, macho, or Midwestern. I think I'm rural. And I have a good self-sufficient competence.
Yeah.
I find that everywhere, like with Yankees in New England and with like lumberjacks in the Pacific Northwest and like cowboys in the Southwest. It's people who aren't wealthy, and so they know how to do to make their lives happy. It's just that simple. And you know who does that? Women, men, gender non-conform, like adults, children. And so I usually try to deflect and say, people have good manners everywhere and a work ethic everywhere. I don't know what it is about the Midwest that makes people want us to like have a specific sort of cheese, dairy, and sausage fed version of it.
So how well known is that characteristic or that part of you and your craftsmanship known in like the LA crowd? Like, for example, like, do you ever walk around a fancy shindig and the host will come up to you and say like, Nick, you have to try the caviar. Also, I have a squeaky door that I was hoping that you could take a look at.
Gratifyingly, people do. I've never been at a gathering where anyone offered me caviar. So I'm still ascending.
Okay. Okay, deal.
But yeah, gratifyingly, quite a bit. People often ask me furniture repair or home repair or woodworking finish questions, which I just love. I can't always answer them, but if I can't, I know where to steer the people, and I really appreciate that.
What about woodworking makes it so important to you? Like, do you have a funny anecdote about it becoming your identity? I mean, I know you said you started in high school, but that to me seems like, you know, driven by a little bit of extra change in your pocket, you know. When did it become not this thing that was like driven by money and it was like, oh, I actually love this and this is like artistry?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's a sort of an expansive question. I think the first one was like, my dad was an amateur furniture maker. He and Mom grew up on farms a few miles to each side of the house I grew up in. Their high school was my junior high, like it's that kind of historical small town thing. And Dad taught me to use tools as a carpenter. And so when I was like 16 or 17, I started framing houses for these two brothers in town. Suddenly, I was getting paid $20 an hour as a teenager to like climb up, to like show off my strength and like haul lumber up a ladder.
Totally.
And you know, install rafters and like sheet a roof with 4x8 sheets of plywood. It was fun and thrilling, and I was getting paid what seemed at the time just an exorbitant amount of money.
Oh yeah.
That's never left, where I was like, wow, I can like use this hammer and these saws and this bag full of chisels to get a bunch of your money. Fantastic. In my 20s in Chicago building scenery, there was one guy named Brad Bunn who was such a nice guy, great carpenter, and we made fun of him because he had this roll of special chisels, of these like woodworking chisels. In theater, you don't do anything in an actual precious way. You quickly slap up the facade of quality. You don't want anything to actually have quality. You want to come in and then have theater artists paint the countertop so that it looks like marble or what have you. And so I have had the opportunity to apologize to Brad Bunn, since I then became an absolute disciple of worshiping your sharp chisels, and like I totally became even a way bigger geek than he was.
And also, it seems to me that like you live, you know, maybe unconsciously by the motto of like how you do anything is how you do everything. So everything that you do has to be up to standard.
My dad always said, if you're going to do a job, do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it applies to every aspect.
Because
of your life.
To me, you seem like a doer of things, and a doer of many things. You somehow split your time, like acting, you're writing books, you're going on adventures, you're practicing expert carpentry and woodworking, you're playing music, you've got, you know, national tours of your one-man show, and on and on and on. So how large of a fear do you have around idle hands?
I mean, pretty large. I have lost time to jackassery whether it's like drunkenness in the pub.
Yeah.
At age like 28, I was couch surfing in LA, and I lost 2 solid weeks to video games with my friend. We ordered pizza, and it was so, like most masturbation, it was quite gratifying. And then at the end, I was like, oh, I don't ever want to do that again.
While we're on the pulpit of do-it-yourselfism, preaching the gospel of self-sufficiency, like, let's take a little bit out of the abstract and put it more into the concrete. Like, what outdoor adventure would you be comfortable taking on with no preparation this weekend?
I'm in St. Louis at the moment, so the thing that springs to mind is the Mississippi River on my doorstep.
Yeah.
And so, I would be down to get in a boat and get on the river and get into some trouble. I would assume that I would get into trouble because it's a mighty river.
It is.
I don't know if you've heard of the Big Muddy, but I think that would be fun. I think I'd love to slap together a raft and head out with a pole and some night crawlers.
How very Huckleberry of you.
And then you get out somewhere, a little farther down the line and see if you can sell some catfish to buy a train ticket home.
What about given a few weeks to prepare?
I've never done anything that would require a few weeks to prepare. But I mean, something that I've always been attracted to, I don't know if I'll ever be able to stop doing what I love, which is working. I love what I do for my jobs. And so the thought of like even pausing for 6 months, I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I'm having too much fun. But I've always been very attracted by the idea of hiking the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail or the Continental Divide.
What would you, under no circumstances, attempt to do ever, no matter the prep time?
I guess like kayaking, off a waterfall.
No doubt.
I mean, I'm 55, so by now I could even say any kayaking that would require a helmet. I guess pretty much anything extreme.
Yeah, okay.
Like the hiking in California, I've run into mountain bikers with full stormtrooper armor.
Oh, yeah. No thanks.
That are pounding down trails so dangerously fast.
Yeah.
And I've maybe yelled at a couple of them because it's on a shared trail where I'm like, if I wasn't nimble, you would have just put me in the hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I just stop and think, what in the world are you even enjoying? Like,
Yeah.
You're not taking in your surroundings. I guess I understand in my youth that I could be thrilled by the adrenaline of like, let's go down this path fast enough that we're just this side of injury.
Well, I heard you once describe time outside, especially a difficult pursuit like, a seriously steep hike in brutal cold, being similar to something like building a rock wall on a friend's farm in the pouring rain. Both being deeply meaningful because they each give you a deep, quote, pleasure of getting something done. Can you explain that and then how you find that both in the workshop and in the woods? Do you wake up each morning and you're like, I have to do the hardest thing possible today that I can do?
I don't do that.
Okay.
Because my connective tissue has asked me not to do that anymore. I had this wonderful sensei who actually, we just lost him at 92. Shozo Sato is his name, and he taught Japanese arts at my college. And he's this incredible figure in my life. He married me and Megan with a tea ceremony. Mm-hmm. And so he very much a powerful Mr. Miyagi figure in my life. And I'm talking Pat Morita, not the later Karate Kid movies. If you haven't seen the original, trust me, you need some wax on, wax off.
True.
So the greatest thing my sensei ever said to me was always maintain the attitude of a student. And so it ties in very powerfully with how I wake up every morning, because I go to bed every night thinking about what I get to do the next day as I maintain the attitude of a student. getting to work as an actor,
Yeah.
I keep getting more and more challenging jobs. So that's wonderful. When I get offered a part, if it's not scary to me,
Yeah.
I generally am not interested. But if I think, oh boy, I'm going to have to like learn something new here, either emotionally
Yeah.
or a sword fight or
Yeah.
an accent, that's scary. I'm like, great, I'm still a freshman.
Yeah.
I still might get dumped at prom. Like everything's on the stakes.
The stakes
I
are high,
live
yeah.
with stakes. And with my woodworking, it's the same thing where like right now I'm working on a batch of ukuleles, which I love, but it's also on my way to acoustic guitars, which are really scary to me to
Yeah.
put the time and effort and materials into trying to make a guitar that doesn't suck is terrifying.
How do you stay a student then in the outdoors? What do you do to make sure that you're still the freshman at the senior prom when you go on an outdoor adventure?
Well, I'd say my main things these days are hiking and cycling. And I mean, partly thanks to fine publications like your own, I use the information provided by my powerfully betters to say, what is challenging here to me? And I mean, my dad, in teaching me how to operate boats and how to navigate on the lakes of Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, one of the most important things he taught me is to respect the forces of nature and weather and temperature and so forth, as well as animals. And so that's where I find it is like, traveling to new places, finding a park or a hike or a cycling route. I always go into it with some trepidation because there's always going to be something surprising. And whether it's at a hiking pace or a cycling pace, for me, that's the thrill of it is like, I've done some whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
And I really love it. It's really fun.
Great. Oh, it's the best.
But I greatly prefer my canoe on a medium river.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for thrills anymore. I'm looking for deer.
The difference between scrambled eggs and frittata.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I like to bake my eggs once in a while. Enjoy the cathedral of Mother Nature, whether it's in Arizona or the Yukon. And I'm not a total bushwhacker.
Yeah.
Like I love a path. I love for someone to have come before and installed some really cool stone steps and whatnot.
Yeah.
But still, I love to challenge myself because I have the right gear and I can carry what I need with me. It's a really gratifying adventure. It's a way to use the magical aspects of the human body at very little cost. You don't have to do anything but like put your shoes on and get going. And the thing is, everything up from that is some version of a puzzle. And we funny monkeys love a puzzle. And so even in the same way that like a hike, if I go stay in Big Bend Park and I look up all the hikes, I'm looking at puzzles and I say, okay, I know what I can do. I know how high and long and far I can go. I know what I've got in my backpack. Or I'm looking at dining room tables and I'm like, okay, I know I've got these mahogany planks or whatever it is. It's an ever increasing set of puzzles.
At your core, beaming from inside of you seems this must-have sense of self and sense of self-reliance. And on its face, I think the new book, Little Woodchucks, is that. It's this fun, do-it-yourself woodworking guide for kiddos, but it also reads as this like problem-solving and cleverness-inspiring manifesto with a very healthy dash of the gospel of Huckleberry-ian mischief, which I so relate to. Are you trying to get kids to make things with their hands, or are you trying to incite a DIY revolution?
I just teared up a little bit sincerely. That is exactly what I'm going for.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I'm not George Saunders or Tolkien. I don't have a wildly affecting imagination, but something I do have that I think is powerfully valuable is a nose for great teaching. And so I can take these great and wise teachings that I've received and say, let me tell you guys about my teacher and my mom and dad and Wendell Berry and Michael Pollan. Early on, I realized it has brought me so much happiness in my life to be able to make things. I feel so competent in so many ways in the actual world, in ways that I feel incompetent online. And I don't have an interest in sort of keeping up with where technology is taking us. So this book in particular, I would have written anyway, because no matter what decade we're in, I want to encourage everyone to learn how to make things with their hands. Yeah. But recently, our society is so quickly and blithely being led into a world of AI.
Yeah.
And this sensibility that, like, well, I guess this is cool if robots decide everything and a corporation drives my car instead of me. What is so valuable about being human, warts and all, like for better or worse, that's the whole point, is that we try things and often suck at them. Yes. And that's how we figure out what our powers are. Yeah. So that is where this book was born. And by the way, my co-author is this incredibly powerful woman named Lee, who ran my wood shop for 10 years and comes from a family of Berkeley hippies who are like immediately and casually way more outdoorsy than me. Like whenever I go see them, they're like, oh, we're going to be hiking up in Marin. I'm like, great. Like, every time I see them, I learn about some new water bottle or backpack.
One of the things that's interesting to me here is the connection of your handiness to the outdoors, because your handiness is also a way for you to deepen your relationship to the outdoors, it seems to me. You wrote an essay for Outside about making a canoe, Huckleberry, and paddling the LA River. It's a very hilarious and a very beautiful read, and I'm wondering if paddling in a craft that you crafted yourself makes an outing like that even better or sweeter. And that is in part, the message of the book.
Yes, thank you for the compliment. I absolutely. The first time I built a canoe was Huckleberry, and I built her in a shop in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Yeah. And launched her in the East River, right off the New York Harbor, which was a terrible idea, and that was terrifying because it was way too big of water. And it's funny, Conan O'Brien is a dear friend, and he refused to come watch the launch because he was convinced that it was going to be like, is it the opening of the Monkees where they take their boat in the water and it just keeps sinking. He was convinced that I was just going to sink my hard-won canoe. So then I built a couple other boats, and they're all very precious to me. My first two canoes were also Ron Swanson's canoes on Parks and Rec. Yeah. Oh, wow. And so when I chose to take it down the LA River, which actually has this wonderfully navigable 3-mile stretch, where when they, most of the LA River looks like that car racing scene in Grease. Oh, yeah. Escape from LA, where it's just a big expanse of concrete. It's like a huge gutter. Yeah. That's right. But there was this 3-mile section in a neighborhood called Frogtown where they left the bottom natural, and it's really fascinating. The water is actually really clean. Yeah. There are pools that are 12, 16 feet deep. There's a lot of trees. There's a preponderance of bird life. And so it was a really fun way to see this stretch and write about it. But there are also some fast-moving water sections. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it just really upped the stakes by taking my beautiful handmade cedar canoe.
3 new coats of varnish on it.
Yeah. The timing was just that I had just finished refinishing it. And I just beat the hell out of it. So there is that feeling, but at the same time, there's an abandon where, and I've always said this, it's not a piece of furniture. It's made to have this kind of fun. Right. And the wonderful thing is, it withstood the fun. At the end of the day, I was really proud that I took my canoe because it didn't sink.
Well, it didn't sink, but also I feel like, not to give away the end of the essay for anyone who hasn't had the delight of reading your column for Outside, but you flip it over and everybody in the group is like, because it got its beat, and
Yeah.
and you were like, no, boys, it's all good, like this is the point of the canoe. It's supposed to get beat up, it's supposed to get used, it's not supposed to sit on the shelf. And in that way, I kind of think you're giving the reader a bit of a life lesson. Would you say that's the point? Be the canoe?
All of my philosophy, what there is of it, boils down to an agrarian sensibility that I've picked up over the years, partly in thanks to Michael Pollan, but because he was the ambassador to Wendell Berry.
Yeah.
And Wendell Berry is this Kentucky agrarian, and he just writes with so much common sense and affection for everybody around him. What I've learned in my life, because I grew up getting my hands dirty, out in the garden, building stuff with my family, working in the kitchen, working on the farm. The first thing I did for money was shovel pig shit in my grandparents' pig barn. My grandpa would give me $0.25 to shovel all the shit out of the basement, which is where the sows were with their litters.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love farming. This is incredible.
Yeah, how could you not fall in love with a job like that?
I mean, it has gotten better from there. But so going back to what you said about be the canoe, I made this canoe to have this incredibly vivacious life experience, not to hang it in a bar or hang it in my living room and never get it dirty or never get a scratch on it. And in the same way that we're talking about tools and getting outside and braving the elements, whatever that may be, or outdoor-based challenges, in the same way, so many people no longer engage in any activity. If somebody, drops something under a car, they're like, well, now what do? We have to call somebody because I can't, it's not like I can get the knees of my pants dirty. By and large, nobody thinks you can get your hands dirty anymore. All of this is my soapbox of get your hands dirty. Know how your life is put together. Understand how things work. And my specialty is to make you a table with wood and tools, or make you a canoe paddle. But it fits for all walks of life and all of the things that we surround ourselves with and the way we use our natural resources.
I've heard you say that everybody in my family, in their professional career is of service. Teachers, firefighters, paramedics, things like this. And I'm just this clown out in LA. But what seems to be the connective tissue in your work in front of the camera, on stage, in the wood shop, in your writing, seems to be that you're trying to give people a message and make people feel something so that they can go out and do. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, thank you. That is a great distillation. That is what I'm after. And it's funny because it's I think it's at the heart of a lot of religious teachings, which I was raised Catholic, but I'm no longer subscribed to an organized religion. But I do think I have a spirituality, and it's based in living a life of service. And what I'm simply trying to impart to others is to live a life of service. Back to my sensei, Shozo Sato, one of the sort of Zen koans that he would impart was the way of the arts is the way of the Buddha. And what that means is, which sounds pretty general, but what it means is figuring out what your art is. For me, let's just say it's acting. Figuring that out and saying, okay, I want to use this. I want to figure out what my talent is and then use it to be of service. Thank God some people, their way of their art is to be an accountant and to do distasteful things balance our checkbooks or whatever.
Yes. God bless all CPAs.
Yes, amen. But that has really shaped my life. By using these arts, which turns out I can also write a book or sing you a song on stage, and I can deliver some sort of medicine that way, then that makes me feel I'll always be a clumsy human man, but that gives me something to shoot for. It gives me something to aspire to, rather than just saying, well, I'm a guy, so I might as well just indulge myself.
It is now time for the final ramble. One piece of gear you can't live without.
Camelback.
Best outdoor snack.
Almond butter.
I did not see that coming. That is a curveball. Why almond butter?
I don't know. Maybe it was just because I was there. There's a little town called Marathon, Texas, that I hit on my way into Big Bend Park. This cool guy runs. He's a former river guide.
Yeah.
And he runs a little French grocery store, and they make their own almond butter. So I took this little pint mason jar of almond butter, and most of my hikes are like 4 to 5 hours to the top of a mountain, and then hopefully another way back down again. So the top of the mountain is a wonderful place to indulge in extra calories.
Oh yeah.
Calories are free, and you can pound a Guinness up there, and no one will ever notice. And so if I find almond butter really satisfying in that setting.
Right on. I have not heard that yet, and that is blowing my mind. I love it.
But it tells you how stupid of a hiker I am that I care. Like, it doesn't bother me to add the weight of a pint.
I know. Yeah. It was really clanging around in a 6-pack of Guinness, man. Like, what the hell? What is your hottest outdoor hot take?
Gosh, I wish I had a real sassy answer to this.
Give me the sass.
I think it is a hot take. I am friendly on the trail. I like to greet people. I know that's kind of poo-pooed, but I'm that guy where I'm like, how's it going?
Do you ever get double takes? Are people like, wait, is that?
There's a funny story that I'll tell you briefly. When the pandemic started, and everything was so weird, and no one knew what the rules were, and we were terrified. We were like washing our groceries and all that.
Yes.
We were doing a hike up in Marin County in Inverness. We were hiking over a small set of hills to get to a beach, and we were passing people, and everybody was masked, and everybody was also wearing like sun hats and shades and whatever. And we passed some people, and I said like, good afternoon. And we went about 20 more steps, and a woman's voice called back, Nick? And I was like, yeah, and it was Aubrey Plaza. Good afternoon. It's so stupidly recognizable.
Yeah.
So I've learned, now I greet people in a fake voice.
What's the fake voice?
Hey, what's up?